I'm out prepping the garden for some family garden and some light market garden stuff. I'm going to go over a few things that I do that you may not have seen elsewhere, and hopefully this gives you some ideas for this year or next year in the garden. First thing is automatic watering timer. I'm using a Wi-Fi one or a Bluetooth one that has this year, but in the past I've used other water timers. But capability to go 4 or 5 times a day is important if you're planning to grow lettuce in a warm climate like I am. Silage tarps for weed control and bed prep. I'm trying to get away from using them, but man, they work like magic. So these were on since late fall. Pull them off, and you know, everything underneath it's nice and dead and squished down, and I can plant right in it like mulch, or I can rake it out using a landscape rake. You should get something that looks like this. For my greens I use succession planting, so doing these are a Senniger Wobbler irrigation head. I really like them for even watering for greens, overhead watering. I can put them up higher, but since I'm doing a small part for now, I do lower. Then I just put a tail on the end, and when I want to add another part under irrigation, I just add it right on the tube, the poly tube, right onto that into the next irrigation head. Great for overhead watering. Something new I'm trying this year, planting tomatoes in holes surrounded by plastic, and then as it gets warm, cutting the top off. Using clear plastic warms the soil, and I'm hoping I'm going to get some solarization here when it gets hotter and kill the weeds. But I mean, the size difference is massive between, so you know, check it out. This one, plastic. Here's one that's grown without plastic. I mean, the size difference is, you know, months ahead. So interesting idea. And then to water, all I do is fill up the holes like once a week. I heard about them doing this for growing tomatoes in Italy, and anyways, I fill it up with water once a week and then let it soak. So I'm hoping that's going to reduce water usage, and it's supposed to bring the tomatoes on earlier. We'll see. For growing greens, I'm using anything that's high in nitrogen that's cheap and organic. In this case, it's an organic lawn fertilizer, 811. And also experimenting with liquid here, some fish emulsion, again organic, 511. And I'm going to then hit some of my flowering and fruiting stuff with some potassium and phosphorus later on. I'm trying to work on nutrient timing just to see if I can make that work. Some interesting research on that. Anyways, just something I'm trying this year. This you mix up and put it on with a spray bottle. In the past I've used a flame weeder. Just this dragon torch head, but this year I think that tarp weed kill and the no-till on a lot of the beds was enough that I'm not going to need to do that. This is the Hiller Furrower attachment for the Troybilt pony tiller. This is how I make the raised beds in the first place and redo them every couple years. It's like a BCS rotary plow, but a lot cheaper. This is my seeder. I'm going to be using it today to put down 2 of the greens mixes, the green Ovation greens mix from Johnny's Selected Seeds and Encore lettuce mix. During the hot weather, I do have a couple other specific varieties that I use because they work better in my climate. But this year we're keeping it simple, and through the early spring and summer we're gonna just run that. The Earthway basically is like the Jang seeder except for 1/6 the price. Mostly I use the lettuce size attachment, and then the spinach one. Lettuce for the, obviously the lettuce mixes, and spinach for the spinach mixes. And I'll show you how we do that in a second. A really important part of this type of seeder that's overlooked sometimes is actually this back wheel. If the back wheel is all muddied up and not level, you can get uneven germination, because that's the last thing that runs over the seeds. So if it's got little dibbles in it, you're in trouble. So I'm going to clean that off now. If you're finding this content helpful, subscribe, ask questions in the comments. I do reply to them, and it will help more people see this video. If you subscribe, I'm going to have stuff throughout the season as I do it that I throw up there. So a couple cool things that if you subscribe will probably show up in your feed. So I washed off the back wheel, so we're smooth and ready to go. There is a row marker here that you can set up, but I almost never use it because I'm using it mostly for baby greens, because I transplant most of the stuff I'm trying to grow as head lettuce. lettuce out of seed plats. Key point here, this needs to be dry in here. I actually dribbled a little bit of water in there on accident, but if it's wet, all the seeds end up sticking, because the way it works, it drags down into this, the seeds go in this kind of reservoir here, and then it drops them down in through there. So if there's an issue, they'll clump. All right, I'm gonna set the depth here to the right thing. You gotta set your seedling depth for what you're growing. I think I'm 1/8 or 1/4 inch. I'll have to look on the seed packet. So you set your seedling depth on this type of seeder by sliding up and down, and I was right, it's 1/8 of an inch, so it's not even marked on here. So you're gonna take and feel what 1/4 is on the lip down here, and go about half of that to 1/8. If you bury them too deep, it'll take a long time for them to come up, or they may not come up at all. Oop, starting to rain on me, better get this done. It seeds more evenly if you pour plenty of seeds in there, so I typically pour them in, then pour out the excess afterwards. So with the Earthway seeder, to make sure it's dropping seeds, spin the front wheel the way that it would go when you were pushing it, and look for seeds you won't be able to see it on the video, but the seeds will shoot down. If they're not shooting down, you know you got an issue and you need to figure it out. Mine were going, so we're ready to push. Succession planting is actually really important for greens harvesting, so I'm gonna do probably 30-inch bed, maybe 10 foot, because that's all I'll be able to sell, or all I want to be able to sell and use before, and I'll plant another one in another week or two. And then I've always got fresh greens coming. Okay, so there's the first band of seeds. Then I'll usually go, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches to the side of it. I found if I go much thicker than that, it's kind of a waste of seed. So I'll run another path and you can see, actually I'll run the whole bed and you see how the width is. All right, that's it. It takes about 3 minutes, not even that. Lay them down. Now I'm just gonna shake out the extra seeds, so it ended up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sometimes I'll go 6 bands in a bed. Good reason to be careful with keeping this thing dry. I got seeds stuck on the inside there, just wastage. But if you keep it dry, that doesn't happen. Keep your seeder dry. Okay, now we're gonna throw down a little bit of lettuce mix. So switching out for the lettuce seed wheel, same process. All right, there we go, got the lettuce seed loaded in there. You can load it fuller than that, but I don't feel like wasting seed. But again, just pour the extra back in the bag. Same density here. This is kind of a leftover in between your beds, so I only got 4 stripes in, but they're the same distance apart. Again, 1/8 inch depth, and getting the depth right is important. If you mess it up, then that's when you get the spotty germination. And trust me, it's happened a few times, especially when I'm trying to go low on tillage. If it's not perfectly flat, it can happen. All right, when I get a little time, I'm going to transplant some of my lettuce and cilantro in here, but ran out of time for today. Again, if you like the content, like, subscribe, comment. There'll be more coming. And there's what it looks like set up. Seeds are in the ground doing their thing. Wobbler irrigation's going. And I didn't get the transplants done, but we'll get those when I have a little bit more time.